Okay guys, we are in lesson 12-3. We're going to finish this up today. There will be a quiz on Monday. So make sure you have your notes and everything ready. You can use those to take your quiz. Okay, so we're still talking about Miss Picasso here and her function as described right here. If you look back at lesson 12-1, you'll find where we graphed this function. And here it is for us. Remember, we have the vertex up here. We have the y-intercept. We have the x-intercepts. And there's also the axis of symmetry, which divides the graph into two congruent halves. And remember to write it as an equation. So this would be x equals 1.5. You could put the 0 on it or not, same thing. And then our x-intercepts were -3, 0, and 6, 0. Our y-intercept was 0, 4, 50. Suppose that Miss Picasso raises $450 in the calendar sale. How much did she increase the price? Explain your answer graphically and algebraically. Well, we know that the 0, 4, 50, recall that x equals the price increase, and that a of x, which is the same thing as y, equals the money earned. So 0, 4, 50, graphically, the 0, 4, 50 is our y-intercept, okay, if she doesn't increase the price. If she doesn't increase the price, because it's 0, right? $0 price increase. If she doesn't increase the price, she will earn, the club will earn $450. The next bit here about algebraically. Here's how we'll figure this out. Okay, they gave us earn, right? Price earned. They raised $450, okay? And remember that a of x is the same thing as y, represents the money earned. So we can take our equation that was up here, and we're going to, basically it's saying that a of x equals 450. So we're going to set the equation equal to 450. So it's going to be 450 equals, and then rewrite the equation. And then we're going to solve it. We're going to solve this equation. Before we can solve it, we need to make sure it equals 0. So I'll subtract the 450 from both sides to make it equal 0. And then we can solve this. So if you recall, we talked about how everything was divisible by -25. So I can go ahead and just divide everything by -25. And I get 0 equals x squared minus 3x. Now you could put this in the quadratic formula if you want to, but we'll just factor it. So 0 equals x times x minus 3. We got a GCF. So x could equal 0, or x minus 3 could equal 0, which is add 3. X could equal 3. So let's take a look. So if you notice, there are actually two answers. If they increase the price by $3, they'll also earn $450. So there are actually two answers to this question. It's not just the y-intercept. there's another point on the graph because of that symmetry. Okay, so if they sell it for $3, they'll earn $450. If they increase the price by $3, they'll earn $450. If they increase the price by $0, they'll earn $450. So there are two answers to this question. Okay, so if she increases the price by $3 or doesn't increase the price, they will earn $450. And we could have noticed that from the beginning. But most of you probably just would have looked at the y-intercept instead of considering that the point symmetric to it has the same y value. They both have 450 as their y value. So we answered it graphically and we answered it algebraically. Okay, going on to number 2. Suppose Miss Picasso wants to raise $600. So I'm going to rewrite our equation, our function here, because we're still using it. Okay, she wants to raise $600. Describe why this is not possible both graphically and algebraically. So let's talk about graphically first. Let's go look at the graph. So up here, and I'm going to erase this stuff for now because it's just cluttering up my screen. So the most they can raise is 506 because our vertex is the highest point. It's our maximum. It's a maximum point. So since our vertex does not go past 506, then graphically it's not possible for her to earn $600 because there are no points on the graph that have 600 as their y. So it's not possible since the vertex is a max at 506. So graphically, the vertex is a maximum at 1.5, 506.25. The club could not earn $600. Now, algebraically, again, so remember that X was the price increase, and A of X is our earnings. So this is earnings. So in our equation, we're going to change A of X to 600 and solve for X. So it's going to be 600 equals negative 25x squared plus 75x plus 450. And like I said earlier, we got to make it equal 0 first. So I'm going to subtract the 600 to get 0 over there. And then 450 minus 600 is going to be a negative 150. And we could try to factor it, but we've learned about the quadratic formula, so we're just going to use that. So I'll identify my A, my B, and my C, and plug it in. X equals opposite of B plus or minus the square root of B squared minus 4 times A times C all over 2 times A. So I'm going to simplify this hot mess first. I'm going to put it in my calculator exactly like that. So it was 75 squared minus 4 times negative 25 times negative 150. And that gives me negative 9,375. All over negative 50. Now, what's important here is what's happening in this radical. I know it's a big number, but what do you notice about this number? It's negative. And we talked about this in class, okay? Whenever the number in your radical is negative, you're going to have an imaginary number. So it doesn't really matter what happens with the 9,375. What's important is to notice that this is negative 1. So this is going to be an imaginary solution. So if you were to simplify it, you would end up with an I on the outside, a little cursive I. Okay? So this would have no solution. It's not possible. Okay? It's not possible for our graph to reach 600. And we proved that right here. Since we have an imaginary solution, there is no solution at 600. So there is no solution when a of x equals 600. There's no point there. Number 2, in lesson 12-1 in item 8, we found the maximum amount of money that could be raised was $506.25. Explain both graphically and algebraically why this is true. So graphically, that was our vertex. Our vertex was 1.5, 506.25, which was the highest point on the graph. Okay, and then algebraically, again, this is 506 is a of x. It's our earning. So we're going to solve this algebraically by changing a of x to 506.25, and then we're going to solve it. Again, make it equal 0, so I'll subtract 506.25 from both sides. And that gives me 0 equals negative 25x squared plus 75x. And then 450 minus 506.25 gives us minus 56.25. And again, I'm not going to try to factor it. I'm just going to use a quadratic formula. So the opposite of b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac. And we're going to get 2 times negative 25 down here. So let's slap this hot mess into the calculator. So 75 squared minus 4 times negative 25 times, what was it? Negative 56.25 gives us 0. Okay, so we have negative 75 plus or minus the square root of 0 over negative 50. So right here, this is actually really good for us because the square root of 0 is just 0. So all of this is just going to go away, and so we'll only have one solution. Now, and it ends up being 1.5. Negative 75 divided by negative 25. Sorry, it was negative 50. Is 1.5. Okay, so we have one solution here. The only point on our graph that has one solution, I'm going to go back, is our vertex. There's only one point that has 506.25 as a solution. We talked about, the y-intercept. There are 2 points that have 450. Every point has a corresponding point, a symmetric point, except for the vertex. So since we only got one solution here, which is the 1.5, then this has to be the maximum amount of money. There is not a point higher when you only got one solution. I love it when 0 pops up. 0 makes life easier. What price increase would yield $500 in the calendar sale? Explain how you determined your solution. What price would yield $500? So we're going to do it graphically, and we're going to do it algebraically, even though it didn't tell us to, because I want you to see it both ways. So what price increase? So we're looking for X, okay, that would yield $500, which is a Y. So if we go back to our graph, and we actually found this in the table, right here and right here was 1 500 and 2 500, if you recall, in the table that we made when we did this lesson. So there are 2 price increases. If they increase it by $1, they'll earn $500. If they increase it by $2, they'll earn $500. So graphically, there are 2 points. A price increase of $1 or $2 will earn $500 because there are 2 points one 500 and 2 500 with earnings of $500. There are 2 points that have a Y value of $500. Algebraically, so again, our A of X and Y are the same thing. So I'm going to write my equation. I'm going to change A of X to 500. And we should get 1 and 2 when we work this out. Plus 75x plus 450. We have to make it equal 0 first, so minus 500. And 0 equals negative 25x squared plus 75x minus 50. Quadratic formula time. Unless you just really want to factor it. Actually, it probably wouldn't be too hard to factor, because we know the answer should be 1 and 2. But I'll do the formula. Opposite of b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac. Actually, if you want to solve this by factoring, send me a message with a picture of you solving this equation by factoring, and I'll give you 5 bonus points. How about that? Let's see who watched this video all the way through. And then on the bottom is 2 times negative 25. Make sure you show all of your work in that picture, or you won't get any bonus points. So let's take care of this first. 75 squared minus 4 times negative 25 times negative 50. Let me double check. Good. Enter. 625. So we have negative 75 plus or minus the square root of 625 over negative 50. Let's check to see if 625 is a perfect square. I have a hunch. So second square root of 625 is 25. So negative 75 plus or minus 25 over negative 50. Notice how the radical went away because we had a perfect square here. The radical did its job and then it went home. So it's just 25. Not the square root of 25, just 25. And then I have two problems I need to simplify. I've got negative 75 plus 25 over negative 50. And I also had to find negative 75 minus 25 over negative 50. So this becomes negative 50 over negative 50. So we get 1. Good. And then this becomes negative 100 over negative 50. So that's just going to be 2. And that's what we got. We got 1 and 2 when we looked at the graph. Okay. So your assignment is going to be on page 203. And you're going to do 5 through 10. These are 2 points each. And these are 5 points each. Make sure you show your work. And make sure you explain when it says explain. Right here, explain, explain. Show your work. All right, guys. Y'all have a great weekend. The assignment is due today, but it will be unlocked until tomorrow at midnight. So you have some little extra time there if you need it. Y'all have a good one.